Hello everyone, welcome to ACE Online and welcome to daily current affairs session. So today we will see the current affairs of 16th March. Before going to the discussion, we have very less articles, a lot of political issues were there, so that is not relevant for our exam. But these are all the things that are relevant for our exam. First one, e-vehicle policy. The new e-vehicle policy was launched by Ministry of Heavy Industries. The provisions are important, the facts that are mentioned in the article are important to be remembered. Then Kissan credit card. So this was merged into the website so that all the details at one go will be able to see. Anyway, we will see in the detailed discussion. So this is again very important article. Next, Apache attack helicopters that we are going to induct. We here means Indian Army, right? We are going to induct Indian Air Force as well as Indian Navy into our own strength, right? In the coming few days. So this is again important, especially of those who are writing the defense exams. And then atmospheric test bed was launched in Madhya Pradesh. So we'll see what is this test bed and all. Then Nath Kovind report on simultaneous elections. You might have seen this. We have already discussed many times about the simultaneous elections, the provisions and all. Anyway, briefly I will discuss the simultaneous elections, the concept, and then the important provisions of the report that will also be asked in the exam. So the provisions also we need to know. Then there are 2-3 factual pointers, and finally we will see some practice questions as well, right? So the first article is related to the e-vehicle policy. You all know that you might have observed that we are moving to the electric vehicles from the diesel or petrol based vehicles because of the various issues like climate change and all, right? So the government has launched a e-vehicle policy yesterday so that they want to encourage the manufacturing of e-vehicles within India. As of now, we don't have too much of manufacturing of e-vehicles in India. We are importing a lot from other countries, right? So like USA, Germany and all. But because of that, it is very costlier. Within India, we need to pay import taxes and then there's a lot of travel charges and all. But if we could able to produce within India, it is just not about the cost, but also climate change impact and all can be regulated. And India have promised a lot of climate pledges at the international level. So it will be helpful for our to achieve that as well. So in this background, government has launched e-vehicle policy. The policy was designed to attract investments in e-vehicle space by the reputed company within India, right? So whatever the reputed companies like SpaceX and all are Elon Musk companies, so they can invest here and they can produce, right? Now, before going into the provisions of the policy that may be asked in the exams, now we will see what actually are e-vehicles, right? You might be aware about it, but anyway, we need to discuss from very basic level. That's what we are doing since many days like for our current affairs, right? So these vehicles are entirely or mostly run through the electricity rather than petrol and diesel, right? So they are not going to use the fuels, right? The fuel will be electricity itself. They are not going to use the petrol or diesel, which are not climate friendly, okay? So this is one reason that we are, because of the environment friendly, they are not going to release any toxic gases like NOx, SOx or CO2. So they are not going to release this, okay? And they don't use fossil fuels. Fossil fuels means coal or petroleum, whatever. These are all fossil fuels which are not what you call renewable. They are non-renewable sources. Once we consume, we cannot regenerate. So they are not going to use this fossil fuels as well. So these are about the electric vehicles, very popular ones. Now, what the policy aims, the facts, what the government want to encourage, what are the provisions that government has mentioned are important for our exam. First one, any company who want to invest in India, the funds has slashed. Earlier it was like they need lot of funds to invest 10,000 crore, 20,000 crore. Now it was just slashed to 4,150 crore. Yes, this amount is larger for us, okay, as a middle class person, but it is not larger for the companies, okay. So this amount was the minimum investment required to establish company in India and manufacture the electric goods. And there is no maximum limit for investment. You can invest 10,000, 20,000, 1 lakh crores also. You can go whatever you want, but my minimum investment should be 4,150 crore for any company to invest in India. Next, they have also given timeline for manufacturing. Once you start this manufacturing or the company in India, now within 3 years, you need to set up a manufacturing facility in India. For example, January 1, 2024, they have asked for permission to start the business in India. So by 2025, 26, 27 January, so 3 years, by January 1, 2027, they have to start the production of the electronic vehicles. So that is one condition. Also, at least the 50% of domestic value addition, that means within our country, if this is India, the total that we are producing, right? So out of that, 50% of domestic value addition should be done within 5 years. Okay, the total electric vehicles that we are producing, out of that, at least the 50% of that particular company. Understand this, the total production of the company may be in different regions, but 50% has to come from India, the total value that this company is adding out of the electric vehicles. So this is for 5 years. Next, one more provision that government has inducted in this policy was custom duties would be only 15%. Earlier, for electronic vehicles or electric vehicles, 70% of custom duties. Custom duties means whenever some other goods entering into our country, they need to pay certain tax. Those are called as customs duties. Now, earlier it was 70%, but now it was slashed to 15%. It means what? They are encouraging the production, but in turn they are giving incentives to the companies. So they can also manufacture in other countries, they can bring into India, right? So that is also one important encouragement for the companies to invest in India, right? So this will be applicable only for 5 years. After that, they will increase. Okay, for 5 years, they are encouraging so that they will start business. The total number of e-vehicles allowed into India, they have slashed that. So it means what? Companies will import more electric vehicles and sell them in India, right? So this should not be beyond 8,000. Okay, only 8,000 vehicles are allowed per company. Beyond that, it is not encouraged to import, right? So that is not allowed. And the maximum, whatever the duty that foregone, subjected will be 6,484 crore. So the total number of e-vehicles allowed for import would be determined by the total value or investment made. Here there is a provision of 8,000 vehicles that a company can import in India. So don't confuse with this. This point is a little bit complex to understand. So understand this total number of e-vehicles allowed would be determined. So it is actually 8,000 maximum, but it is not for all the companies. They may be 6,000, 2,000, right? So if some company is investing very less amount in India, so how can they be allowed to import 8,000? If it is significant amount, then only 8,000. But for others, if it is a small company, that would be determined on the based on investment. If you are doing only 5,000 crore, that will be allowed only 500 vehicles, 600 vehicles. And if you are investing 1 lakh crores, so then we will allow it maximum 8,000. Okay, but beyond 8,000 they are not allowing. The company can import only 8,000 at max, but not for all the companies. Based on the investments, they will decide the other numbers, right? So whichever is low, subjected to the value of 6,484 crore. So the total value of the goods that they are importing should not cross 6,484 crore. For example, 100 vehicles they have imported and one is say 10 lakh. So it should be less than that, the total value. So this figure is also important. Similarly, as said, not more than 8,000 e-vehicles will be permissible to import. Any company, you invest to the 2 lakh crore, 30 lakh crore, but we will at max 8,000 only are allowed. And below that, based on your investments, we will allow the numbers, right? The investment commitment made by the company will have to be backed by bank guarantee. So they are saying that they will invest 5,000 crore. But if we believe and if we allow and after that if they escape, then what will happen? It again been an issue. It will be an issue for India. So that's why whatever the investments that they are promising that we will invest 10,000 crore, you have to take the bank guarantee. You have to keep your capital there, take a bank guarantee and show us, then only we will allow you to start the business, right? So these are all the conditions because the companies will manipulate and they may skip the country's growth, right? So that's why the bank guarantees has to be done. And if they are not achieved, then those guarantees will be taken by the government. Whatever the capital that they are keeping in banks, so those amount will be taken by the government, right? So these are all the provisions that were made part of to encourage the investment in electric vehicles. Next one, Kissan credit card. So Department of Fisheries has inducted this Kissan credit card into Jan Samarth portal. So we need to know about Jan Samarth portal and Kissan credit card now. So just that this Kissan credit card scheme was kept in our portal of Jan Samarthan, right? Jan Samarthan portal. So we will see what actually is Jan Samartha portal. Then we will go for the Kissan credit card. Okay. So this Jan Samartha portal is a website. It is like a website which was launched by Ministry of Finance, where it will link the loan takers with the loan givers. So why loans are given? To earn some profit by collecting interest. This is person A, this is bank B, for example. So I am a bank B. If I am giving loan to you, that means I am expecting some interest more, right? And what these persons are expecting, they want to take loans, they want money and invest in the business, and then they want to earn the profit. So in case of Jan Samarthan portal, it is a website where everyone will be connected. Loan givers and loan takers, they can come together and they can interact and they can take the benefit, right? So it is a single platform where it will connect the beneficiaries of different schemes. We have different schemes which encourages to take loans and start businesses like MSME and all, right? So this is a single portal launched by Ministry of Finance where it will connect the loan givers and loan takers along with all the beneficiaries, right? So now you can go, and if you want to start business, you can search for your loans and you can start your business, right? So this is about the Jan Samarth portal. Now, what is Kissan credit card? It is like an ATM card only. It is like an ATM card by RuPay, but it is not like you can take whatever amount of money. It is the money, it is the ATM, a type of ATM, Kissan. Kissan means farmer, right? So it is a farmer's credit card where they can take money after giving credit by some organizations, right? So it is enabling, it is digitalizing. Farmers usually takes money or loans from the local lenders and they go for the debt, right? So now this scheme was launched where the money are given by the banks. We all know that certain amount of loans that banks will be given to has to go to particular sectors. That is priority sector lending. So I'm not discussing everything. Some RBI give guidelines to the banks that they have to at least give loans to certain sectors like agriculture and all. So that's why all banks are ready. Even if it is less interest, they have to give. There is an obligation. So banks will give loans to the farmers. Of course, they need to keep certain collateral. So these farmers will take money and that money will be credited into this account and they can use this card and they can take the money. So why government is encouraging? Because they want to encourage the agriculture. If money is there with the farmers, they can use it for inputs like fertilizers, pesticides, seeds, right? So the agriculture grows. If there is no money, where farmers will invest? Why they will involve into the agriculture? So Kissan credit card was launched to encourage the financial availability or the funds availability to the farmers through the guaranteed banks. Okay, it was launched in 1998 earlier, and now it was encouraged or enhanced into non-farm activities as well. So earlier it was selected for only core like seeds and all, but now it was encouraged for non-farm like dairy and all. So that was also encouraged. Similarly, in 2018-19, it was also allowed for fisheries. The farmers who are involved in fisheries can also now take this Kissan credit card and they can avail the funds from the banks. Okay, so these almost all farmers were included into the Kissan credit card. And how it works, as I already explained, they can connect through Jan Samarth portal and they can see who are all giving loans. They can take the loans and the money will credit to their account and they have the card of Kissan credit. So they can go to ATM and they can take the money and invest. So this is the working nature of the scheme. Now what is the objectives? It is very easy to predict that to support the farmer in terms of short-term credit. Immediately a monsoon was very successful this year. Monsoon was very positive. So the farmers want to invest more. So the short-term credit is readily available. Okay. Then post-harvesting expenses. After harvesting, they want to transport, they want to process it. So for all these things also, the money can be useful. And then produce market loans, right? To take market loans. Consumption requirements of the farmer, they can use some personal expenses as well. That is also allowed because some emergency times farmers may require some personal consumption. That is also allowed. Working capital for maintenance of their farm or whatever the activities, even if they are not growing crops, but for maintenance in the lean periods, that can also be used. And then investment, credit requirements, agriculture and allied activities. So they are encouraging to grow more agriculture through this availability of money, right? And who will give loans? That is also important. Commercial banks, regional rural banks, small finance banks and cooperative banks. So these four are allowed to give loans towards the Kissan credit card scheme, right? Next article, Apache attack helicopters. AH-64E Apache attack helicopters. So the context is this: Army raises first unit of Apache attack helicopters in Jodhpur. Very important. So it was inducted into Jodhpur, right? That's why we have taken this. And what are the features of this? This is the world's most advanced multi-role combat helicopter. So this one is the most advanced. It can combat, it can shoot down any of the ships or any of the land missiles, right? So whatever, it has a combat role, and this is the mostly advanced one. And this was manufactured by Boeing, and the country of origin is United States. So it is not from Russia, it is from United States, okay? So this is also known as Apache Guardian. And this attack helicopter has this is the latest version, AH-64E. We were having 64, 63 and all, but this is the most advanced one that was recently developed by US Army, and we are able to procure them, right? And some features, very generic in nature. They have laser, so that means precise attack. And they can also shift the personals whenever it is required from one place to other place. It has a latest communication technology and most advanced surveillance technologies as well, which can shoot down, which can identify, so whatnot, everything can be handled by this aircraft. So this one important thing is, it was integrated infrared laser. It has a integrated infrared laser, so to identify and shoot down the targets, right? Very generic statements. Next one, atmospheric test bed. The context is this: the first phase of India's atmospheric research test bed in central India. We have atmospheric research beds in various regions, but in central India, this was the first atmospheric test bed. What is atmospheric test bed and all, we will see, okay? So it was established in Silkeda in Sehore district of Madhya Pradesh. It is near to Bhopal only. So central India's first atmospheric test bed was launched in Bhopal, near Bhopal, Silkeda in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, that is important. Now, what is this atmospheric test bed? If you are a geography student, you might be aware about the low pressure zone, high pressure zone. So winds always move from high pressure zone to low pressure zone. So if it is packed one, so this is have very good space. So the winds will rush towards low pressure zone, right? The same way we have the monsoon as well. In India, we have two types of monsoon: southwest monsoon and northeast monsoon, right? Two monsoons we get. From June to September, we have southwest monsoon, and October, November, maybe December, we have northeast monsoon. To study why central India receives very less amount of rainfall. So to study the actions of monsoon is very mysterious thing. Even after many thousands of years, we were not able to exactly predict when they will come, when they will distribute. So nobody knows. Though we have an idea, nobody knows exactly what is happening. So to study more about the monsoon performance in the central India, this atmospheric research test bed was identified. So it can observe all low pressure zones and then depressions, high temperature. So they can observe everything from this region, and then they will compare it with the other climate models that are available, so that in the future they can predict the monsoon in a much better way. So this is about the aims and objectives of this atmospheric research test bed. Okay, so just the same thing, you understand the mechanism where it was launched, that's all. So it can identify or record the temperatures, pressures in the central India, and accordingly they will study the role of monsoon in this particular central India, right? So that is about the mechanism. Now, what is about the test bed that was launched in central India? The general concept we have seen, atmospheric research test bed, but what about the one which was launched in the central India? That details also need to be known. It was funded by Ministry of Earth Science, not Ministry of Science and Technology. It was funded by Ministry of Earth Science, and it houses approximately 25 instruments, high instruments, which can note all the meteorological data. Okay. Now, this one will be handled by Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology located in Pune. So who will record this, who will assess this and all, that is also important for our exam. Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology located in Pune. So this is the in charge to handle this particular project. Next article, Nath Kovind report. Okay, so recently Nath Kovind, the former president of India, has submitted the report related to the simultaneous elections. So we have seen what is simultaneous elections many times. Anyway, briefly we will see what actually is simultaneous elections. So one nation, one election or simultaneous elections happen in a synchronity with the central Lok Sabha and all assembly of states. When in 1951 we had an election, until 1967 there was a same elections on for every 5 years. So there was a fixed, all the state elections were happening in the same for every 5 years. But after some collapse, after change in the governments at the state levels, and there emerged the federalism. So number of parties has emerged. It is not only about the Indian National Congress. There are number of local parties. So they were dissolved and then again elections conducted. The main condition is 5 years term is fixed. I mean, if there is a majority for any party, they can form for 5 years. So nobody can break, even president, prime minister, nobody can break. If they have majority, they have to have this term of 5 years. Okay. But so for example, there was election in 1951 for all the things. And in 1952, there was some change in party coalition. So new government has formed. So the again new government will form, and from 1952, it will be there for 1957. But the elections has to happen in 1956. So it has changed for the state governments. Okay. So this has happened. This is not in synchronity. Now again government is mulling for it. They are trying to synchronize the elections. What is the reason and all we have discussed on March 6th. You can go through to the March 6th current affairs day. We have detailedly discussed about the simultaneous elections. Okay, challenges, why we need and all. I am not going to discuss those in detail. Just that they are in synchronized. The election should happen the same for Lok Sabha as well as all the state assemblies. So that is the objective of the one nation, one election or simultaneous election. Now, let's understand briefly few things. As I said, the elections are fixed for 5 years for any, whether state assembly or Lok Sabha. Once it is elected, if there is a majority, there is a 5 years term. And Article 83 of Indian Constitutions has said this, that it is fixed. 53, no state, even if someone want to change, nobody can change. Article 172 for state assemblies, and for Lok Sabha 83, it was fixed at 5 years. But now, as the states has to be changed, maybe yes, if they cancel all the elections and they conduct the elections in 2024, and it is not guaranteed that all the state assemblies will have the term till 2029. There may be change in parties, coalition, adjusting those things and all. So there may be some issues in between. That's why the report has studied everything and they have suggested certain measures. Those measures we will see. So the report has suggested first thing that they should conduct the elections at the same time in, for example, 2024 May, right? So that is one suggestion. And subsequently, they should conduct the municipality elections, panchayat and municipality. We have local bodies also, right? So within 100 days of conducting the elections of assembly and Lok Sabha, we need to conduct the elections for panchayats within 100 days. So that is other second suggestion. Now, not only about suggestions, they have asked to amend the constitution. The total provisions that need to amended were 15. They have suggested 15 constitutional amendment has to be adjusted, and for that we need to pass 2 constitutional amendment bills. So all these 15 provisions will be adjusted in 2 constitutional amendment bills. That's what the report has suggested. Now, what are those 2 constitutional amendment bills that they have suggested? First one, in the first constitutional amendment bill, they have to adjust it in such a way that we have to introduce a new article, that is Article 82A, where President will notify that from today the constitutional Article 82A will come into the Act. So the article itself clearly mentioning that from this day there will be a simultaneous election. So just for declaration, we have to introduce 82A, and then 82A1. will be, I'm sorry. So Article 82A will talk about the simultaneous elections. So there need to be a simultaneous election, and Article 82A1 will suggest from when it should come into the picture. Right? President will notify from when it will come into the picture. I'm repeating again. Article 82A simply says that there should be a simultaneous elections for Lok Sabha and then assemblies and then panchayats. And Article 82A1 talks about first sitting when the simultaneous elections will come into the act. So that is the thing. Next, Article 82A2 will state that all the legislative assemblies that were constituted shall come to an end at the expiry of full term of the House of People. So whenever the assemblies may elect, but the end of Lok Sabha, whenever there is an end to Lok Sabha, these assemblies also, irrespective of 5 years, maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever may be, they will come to an end in synchronous with the Lok Sabha. So that again the simultaneous elections will happen along with the Lok Sabha itself. Right? So this Article 82A2 says that the end of the assemblies should happen in same with the Lok Sabha. So that is other observation from the report. And there is one more, Article 82A3, third provision. It requires that general elections to the House of People and legislative assemblies should happen simultaneously. So whenever it may happen, but it should synchronize. So this article says about 82A3. Then, and if election commission believes that there is no possibility of conducting the elections for assemblies, right, in synchronize with the Lok Sabha, so they may suggest, it may make recommendations to the president to declare order that elections of legislative assembly may conduct in the later time. Sometimes there is no possibility because of various critical conditions, right, or security provisions in the northeast. Sometimes they may not possible to conduct the elections in those state assemblies along with the Lok Sabha. Then election commission has to mention the same, that we will conduct the elections maybe in the next 6 months or 1 year. So they have the power. So it is giving some flexibility, right, to not conduct the elections during the Lok Sabha. Anyway, the other provisions talks about Article 82, 5 and 4, they talks about if the assembly's elections was conducted later times as suggested by election commission, but the term will not be 5 years. For example, Lok Sabha was elected on January 1, 2024. And election commission said that for particular state we were not able to conduct the elections. It will be on January 1, 2025. So it is till 2029 and they have to also end at 2029. They cannot go for 2030 because the 5 years rule will be removed. So this is other provision. Similarly, there is one more provision, Article 83(4). Now it says that state assembly that replaces the previous one will serve only the remaining period, as I was suggesting. So only remaining period they will suggest, not the 5 years. And the second constitutional amendment bill that they have suggested is related to the majority passed along with the support of the states. 50% of states has to support if certain provisions of the state list. We have 7th schedule and we have 3 lists: central list, state list, concurrent list. And whatever the provisions that we are changing related to the states also need to support those things. 50% of states need to be supported. That is what mentioned in the Article 368. So this bill talks about the elections related to the panchayats and municipalities. So this has to be amended, and single electoral roll for panchayats, municipalities, legislative assemblies, parliament has to prepare. Single electoral roll means names of the voters. So it should be single. Now we have state assembly, we have separate, we have Lok Sabha, we have separate, panchayat elections, we have separate. So this other provision also has to be passed under Article 325, right? Next, that is the articles. Now the factual pointers. We are celebrating on March 5th, that is yesterday, World Consumer Right Day. So the consumption pattern has changed drastically, isn't it? So this World Consumer Day will promote the awareness among the consumers. So March 15th is celebrated, and this year theme is Fair and Responsible Artificial Intelligence for Consumers. So this is the theme of today's or this year's World Consumer Rights Day. Next one, Pabitora Wildlife Sanctuary. There was Assam government has announced that this will be a protected area earlier, but now they are removing to develop certain tourist places. But Supreme Court has quashed that no, you cannot allow, this is ecological sensitive region. Please stay your measures. We will see, we will look into it. So that is what Supreme Court has announced. So that's why we have taken this. Pabitora Wildlife Sanctuary is located in the Assam state and it is known to have the highest concentration of rhinos after Kaziranga. So Kaziranga we have a highest one-horned rhino. After that, this national park has that. This is also called as mini Kaziranga, right? So that is about today's session. Now let's look into the practice questions for today. Okay, which one of the following is the provisions of e-vehicle policy 2024? So we have discussed about the e-vehicle policy. Now answer related to the question related to the same. It aims to cap the maximum foreign. Okay, they are asking which are the provisions of e-vehicle policy. To cap the maximum foreign investment at 4150 crore for single company. That is the first statement. Customs duty would be waived off for those who import any e-vehicles. So import duty will be, or custom duties will be removed. Not more than 8,000 electric vehicles per year would be permissible to import under the scheme. So these are the three statements. First one is wrong because it is not maximum foreign investment, it is a minimum foreign investment. Minimum, there is no limit for maximum. And there 15% of custom duties will be levied. It is not like completely free. So 1 and 2 are wrong. And answer is B, 3. Yes, 8,000 vehicles is the maximum limit. Next one, so there is a breakage in the question. Let's see. Consider the following statements regarding the credit card, Kissan credit card scheme. It was introduced for providing adequate and timely credit support for the farmers. Yes, that is correct. The facility could be availed through non-banking financial companies. So this is wrong. It can be availed through commercial banks, regional rural banks, right? So on cooperative banks. So this is wrong. The scheme was introduced in 2010. That is also wrong. So answer 1 only. It was introduced in 1998 and it is not funded through NBFCs, non-banking financial companies. Rather, it is commercial banks, cooperative banks, regional rural banks. Next one, India have deployed AH-64E Apache attack helicopters from which of the countries? Israel, USA, Russia, Japan. So we have seen this is from USA, Boeing. Next one, Nath Kovind report recently mentioned news related to what? Deploying Central Armed Forces in the states during Lok Sabha elections, conducting Panchayat elections for every 5 years, conducting simultaneous elections to the Lok Sabha, state assemblies and local bodies, and all the above. This is wrong. This does not talk about any security forces. It is not fixed 5 years for Panchayats. It talks about the simultaneous elections. Next, Pabitora Wildlife Sanctuary is located in. So we have a direct question, that is Assam. Jan Samarth portal is an initiative of Niti Aayog, Ministry of Fisheries, NABARD and Ministry of Finance, right? So it was established under Ministry of Finance, right? So it is not Ministry of Finance or Fisheries, it is Ministry of Finance. So that is about today's session. It is a short session anyway, but very important articles are there. You can revise. Okay, thank you. Have a great evening.